Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 369 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda. I am here today with three friends so great that they have no choice but to introduce themselves by name.
We should go in alphabetical order.
Yeah,
let's do this. So Rob introduces himself, then it would be Bates if he was here, then alphabetical order by last name. Because if you do first name,
why not by birth date?
Then I'm always first.
No, not by year, but I mean by day of year.
This is too complicated. We need something where we can share state. No, where we can share state in our heads, right? So, and all of our last names are right on the screen, so it's very handy. All right, my name's Chris DeBona. I'm obviously the hall monitor of this particular space station.
I'm Nate Ostendorp.
I'm Rob Roseboom, and I'm human. We can't really say if Nate is or not.
Although we're just not sure.
I'm human ambiguous.
Well, I think that we can accept all kinds of people in all kinds of ways.
Well, certainly in space.
There was a Turing test story a long time ago where the guy was going to do the Turing test, sat down at the keyboard, waited 20 minutes, and then said, "How are you?" And the response was, "What took you so long?" And it's that's a human. And he walked away.
The introverted Turing test, you know?
Right? It's one of the early jokes from way back in the day. It is the depths of August. We have very little in terms of non-murder related news to talk about. But we got tardigrades on the moon,
right?
Well, did anyone else had anyone else heard of tardigrades before this?
Are you kidding?
Water bears?
Is that a joke? I mean, who the hell do you think you're talking to, Ostendorp?
Maybe I didn't take enough biology in college.
Maybe you didn't watch the first season of stupid Star Trek Discovery. That was the dumbest part.
Star Trek Disco.
Season.
Although their tardigrade was
really
gigantic.
Liked it. Yeah, it was ridiculously big. But I mean, tardigrades, man. I mean, this should go to the core of who you are as a nerd.
Nope.
We probably posted 100 stories about tardigrades over
We've done
tens
of episodes about it in the lost years.
My kid actually routinely discusses tardigrades with me. It's one of his favorite subjects. He will come up and tell me that he learned, I don't know, from Vsauce or one of those YouTubers all about tardigrades, and then reiterates to me information about tardigrades. But he is probably not aware that it says the Israeli Bereshit probe in April crashed into the moon with
Does a Bereshit on the moon? There's a Bereshit on the moon.
I did like the article did point out that this isn't the first bacteria on the moon, because the Apollo astronauts all left their poop up there. So there's tons of bacteria.
Tardigrades aren't bacteria, Rob.
Okay, technically I agree, but you get my point.
I call them tardigrade Americans myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Tardigrade Americans? Do they get to vote, or are they going to take our jobs?
I just have the worst thing I want to say. If they were a Republican, it'd be our tardigrades. Our tardigrades.
Yeah.
Stop.
You can't say that anymore. It's 2019, man.
I know. It's not cool. No, seriously though, whenever I say tardigrade, I feel like I'm saying something wrong. You know,
I agree.
It's
definitely an inappropriate word. There's a lot of words that you can't say anymore that I grew up with that make me sad, because I occasionally.
It doesn't make me sad.
Well, I slip them out, and then I feel bad because I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I also know that as a child of the 80s, many of those words were just normal.
Well, I mean, actually, the tardigrade word is one of them. I mean, we used to say that all the time, you know, that thing's blah and this thing's blah. And what are you, some kind of blah? And it's, it's not nice. It was actually that hard to stop saying it. I don't sort of belong to the, I mean, there's only been one word where I was like, oh yeah, that's a bad one, even though it probably wasn't, it's okay. Language evolves.
It's true.
I don't have a problem using they in the singular. It's fine. Who cares? Who cares? If you can be a little nicer.
Chris, were you telling me that you watched the Vintage Space YouTuber?
Oh, you mean the guy who goes through the old electronics?
No, I'm not talking about
Ventura?
LGR or I was there's one called Vintage Space, which I've just been hooked on lately, and for some
Oh,
reason I
wow,
thought
that
you had
sounds great.
mentioned it to me.
No, not me.
No, it's just this super smart Apollo era historian who just like goes through and tells the weird stories from Apollo era stuff, and I've like been binging on it lately.
Oh, so it's not like vintage, like just after the Big Bang, like that vintage space.
It's not that vintage, but it's close.
It's really-
actually called Vintage Space, and it's got this cute girl or cute woman talking.
I mean that it is a woman hosting the program. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
No, there's a lot of really funny ones, but one of my favorite ones is she went and interviewed Pete Conrad and asked him about transcripts because she had the complete Apollo era transcripts from like I think it was Apollo 14 or Apollo 12, and there's a segment in the transcripts about his underwear. But nobody knows what they were talking about because it was one of those things like, I mean, after 40 years, it wasn't exactly clear what the context of it was. Pete Conrad was the capsule command guy, so he didn't go down to the surface. And so they were trying to figure out why there's this segment talking about his underwear. And his response was basically, after all these years, he wasn't sure, but it was either they were making fun of him because he didn't get to wear the cool thermal underwear to go walk on the moon, or he was making fun of them because they had to put on the stupid thermal underwear to walk on the moon. But like just funny anecdotal Apollo stuff. But everything I'm watching right now is like all Apollo stuff.
That's really neat. Actually, she has some cool videos. I can go watch this instead of talk to you guys.
It's probably for the best. We could like do reaction videos.
Oh, reaction videos are the worst. Yeah.
Did you see? So I put on Taco Zone the Bitcoin scammer scammed.
Yeah, I'd actually not seen this before 41 minutes ago. So I haven't watched it yet or anything. But yeah,
I didn't watch the video clip, but it's funny. The guy, I mean, it's just a fairly standard scam, but they were trying to do it to a guy who's actually like an expert in cryptocurrency, and he managed to get them to give him money. They've got like chat logs and stuff. He donated it to charity.
I love those sorts of things.
Yeah.
A while ago, there was a whole thread about a guy who was getting scammed by a Nigerian scammer about horses, and he was actually a horse breeder, and he got this guy to fill out all sorts of crazy paperwork and got him to take a picture of himself holding things. It was just really funny. If you got the time.
So one of my favorite Twitchers / YouTubers is Kit Boga, and all he does is he calls back support scammers and pretends he's like an old lady or something, and they're very silly. And basically he tries to keep them on the phone for like hours until they're screaming at him. It's so
I've done
good.
this.
It is so
It's
good. It's like every day is a Kathy Hunter. It's just so good. Except if Kathy Hunter, was actually completely oriented on ripping people off and starts just like going back.
Do you listen to Reply All?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Come on.
Have you heard the one where they
helped them
to India?
What's that? He actually went to India? That's great.
Yeah, he actually flew to India to like find the place. And it's like, it might be the best episode of that podcast.
Yeah, it's a good one though. I got to tell you, I really like the hosts too. They're such neat guys.
I've said it before, but listening to those guys talk reminds me so much of our IRC chat rooms and our meetings 15 years ago. I mean, it just sounds like exactly the same thing. Like the hating on each other, but with the friendship and the
genuine affection.
Yeah. The underlying affection, but the nerdy things that they're talking about and the subject matter and the way they deal with issues. It's just like, oh, you could have been us, 15, 20 years ago. That's awesome.
Yeah, but instead they were trapped in New York radio,
I mean, I could imagine worse places, but it's hard because, New York is a nice place to visit.
Yeah. No, I went to their first studio or second studio when they were doing Reply All, and they had like these sound booths like they were set up inside like a shared office space. It was kind of amazing,
So Rob, you found a giant parrot.
Well, I didn't find it. Scientists did. If I found it, I wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Dog
just
dug it
keep
up.
Yep.
He hates parrots. The idea of a big parrot, that just pisses me off. You know?
Yeah, they found a new kind of parrot in New Zealand that evidently was as big as a toddler. So,
Well, you know, crows
There's
are
that.
really big. I don't know if you've seen crows, but they're monsters, you know?
crows
and
can be very
ravens.
big. Yeah.
I mean, and also there's like some lady so on Nextdoor, you know, Nextdoor, there's a lady who basically went off on this rant in my neighborhood about how someone had killed a crow with a car, like ran it over or something. And then she was like, but all the other crows are now staring at the spot on the ground. And crows are really family oriented and very intelligent. You should never kill a crow. Well, they did have murder. Good
Yeah.
one. A murder of crows.
Good one.
But she was like, she was like, you know, I can't believe anyone would kill a crow. And she was like going off like she was like secretly a crow. Anyway.
Well, they are one of the few creatures that
Holds a
some
grudge.
people think are self-aware, that they recognize themselves as individuals. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, New Zealand, it's got all kinds of crazy birds. Always has. I mean, they
Yeah.
had the moa birds. They're like 8 feet tall, 500 pounds. They had the Haast eagle, which was big enough to eat children. You know,
That's awful.
This
all
is what
those, like Australia has all the poisonous stuff, and New Zealand just had all the crazy birds. So
They had all the sweet things.
it's when you have a landmass that doesn't have large mammals on it, but is
Yeah.
big enough to get a good feeding population.
yeah,
Well, there's something called like a kakapoco or something, and it's basically it's a green bird that can
Yeah, it's
hide in the what's it
it's the-
called?
the kakapo. It's the largest
Kakapo.
parrot. It's in New Zealand too. There's actually a really funny video you can watch. I think it's Edinburgh, where he is there narrating, and they find one who's breeding and climbs on his back and does the breeding dance on his shoulder. It is hilarious. So
Your homework
Yeah.
is
Well-
to put that into Discord so I can have that in the description.
got it.
I want to see Attenborough fail to mate with the giant bird.
How do you know that they failed? I'm just saying.
That's true.
This conversation is getting close to one of my rules that I now have for my children, which is you're not allowed to tell me about a YouTube video unless you send me the link.
That's really smart because my son does this all the time. He's like, Dad, blah, 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 blah. I was like, this is a YouTube video, right? Yes. And I'm like, okay, come on.
You need to send me the link so I can see it. Then we can talk about it.
Right.
If you just tell me there's this video that has this.
You have to be careful with this stuff though, because these kids, man, I swear to God, they're consuming them at 3 times speed, you know?
I'm glad that mine still only have access to the YouTube Kids, because once they get the real deal, I feel it's all over for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. No, I'm following a Twitter account that's just pictures of the green weird bird that's super fluffy. And yeah, I mean.
You mean T
that-
from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No, not D. It's a different bird. That's also one of my favorite running jokes in that show. It's like, why did they call her a bird?
All right. It's so weird.
All right, I found the video. It wasn't
found the video.
Edinburgh. It wasn't
Excellent.
Edinburgh. Sorry.
I put it in the corner of the screen like you're supposed to do if you're a YouTuber, but I don't care because nobody ever watches this.
Was it Kim.com? Because I mean, it's New Zealand.
New
He was hiding
Zealand,
in New
yeah.
Zealand, right?
Like, he's there anyway.
Was it
in his-
Peter
in his
Thiel?
safe house.
Is it Peter Thiel mating with a parrot?
It was no one from the Lord of the Rings cast.
Speaking of the Lord of the Rings cast, I just finished watching The Boys, which of course has Carl Urban, who was a member of the Lord of the Rings cast. That ended good. That's one of my favorites now.
Yeah, no, I still have 3 episodes to go, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
It's worth it. It's real good. What was the one you were talking about earlier? Chris, you said you had a new show.
Oh, Another Life. I started it. I'm still not sure I'm gonna finish it.
Is that the space one?
It's a space one on Netflix, and actually, that's it. It's sort of like, you know, what was Annihilation or whatever, where a thing lands in the middle of the country, and they're studying it, and then they send a space mission off to where it's transmitting to, and things go wrong eventually. Anyway, I'm only like, and it's got Katie Sackhoff, Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica in it.
And she married somebody bigwig too. Is she married to Carl Urban?
Wow, that'd be interesting, right?
There's she married whoever Trump lost the primary against. In the sequence of science fiction actresses determining who's our president.
Right.
That's actually, she's married. She was married to Carl Urban through 2018. Well done, Mr. Malda.
Excellent. So we've really connected.
We've connected the two shows.
Yeah. Maybe they're a shared universe sort of situation.
That's weird.
My wife tells me I look like Carl Urban, which I do not believe in one single bit, but I'm willing to take it.
You don't look like you don't look like at all like Carl Urban.
I agree with you.
He's an extremely good-looking, dark-haired Australian, New Zealand fellow.
There is literally nothing that he and I have in common.
I mean, it's nice that your wife thinks so. Maybe that's just who she thinks about when. No,
I know. Right. That could be too. That's probably fair.
I'm sure
whatever it takes. Both of you respirate. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You both have metabolism. Close to the same number of digits and appendages and stuff. I mean,
give or take,
all sorts of things you have in common with them.
So this is weird. So did they actually get a divorce, Urban and Sackhoff, or are they still together? And is like, I don't know. Urban.
This show is taking a decidedly different turn than we normally go.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mystery Date now.
Leave it to Nate to bring it up. He's the evil one.
Wait. Actors that we've watched their television shows what happened to their relationship? Entertainment Weekly didn't give me the coverage that I wanted.
I really need to know what's going on with Nick Offerman and that lady from Will and Grace.
All right. Let's stop. Okay. Anyway, so the problem with Another Life is, so it's basically, and this isn't really a criticism. It's just really dull. Like they have like, they have like a little bit of the what was that submarine movie with what's his name Gene Hackman and
Under Siege?
Denzel Washington. And Denzel Washington, where they're like, I'm in charge of the ship. No, I'm in charge of the ship.
The Hunt for Red October.
No, that wasn't the Hunt for Red October, you dumbass.
Crimson Tide?
Crimson Tide, yes, thank you. Right. Which is not
Prince
like
of Tides?
No, not Prince. Prince of Darkness? Was it by John Carpenter? Was there bad guitaring?
It's Army of Darkness. Was it directed by Sam Raimi?
Oh my god, you guys.
Was SpiderMan in it?
The best morning ever.
The worst episode ever. So Another Life, basically, the first episode is basically Crimson Tide, and people like, no, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. You're gonna go to sleep. No, you're gonna go to sleep. And then the second episode is like the Battlestar Galactica episode where they're going through the nebula and it's really hard and stuff. And it's just like, I'm like, I've seen every episode before, just with the different crew. And frankly, a crew that was better actors. I mean, Katie Sackhoff's fine, but she's like the only one who's tolerable as an actor. They have all these actors who are just awful. I mean,
see, that's the thing that I'll say about The Boys is that like across
such good actors, man.
Acting is so good.
It is,
What's the Highlander, the Superman character? Watching his eyes switch at Homelander. He's switching back and forth between like the good guy and the bad guy.
That guy.
Amazing.
Did you ever see Banshee? So Alan Ball, after he did 6 Feet Under, he did a show called Banshee for Showtime, and it's basically sex and violence. But with
the Amish community, which is nice.
But with the Amish community, it was amazing. No, it was so good, and it was just like the violence was just amazing. And the guy, a New Zealander who plays Homelander, is the guy who's the main character in Banshee. Again, New Zealand. This is the thread.
This is pretty much the episode theme is.
It is. I think
we should all get Maori face tattoos after this.
Well, that'd be cultural appropriation.
Oh,
back to the beginning, we are not appropriating culture in this show.
That was a thing of the 80s.
We're not going to say any of the words.
Is it as offensive to transition to The Rock and Hobbs and Shaw? Because I know
no, it's not offensive because he's Polynesian, right?
Right.
So he's got the whole New Zealand thread.
They actually go back to whatever his home island is.
Oh yeah,
like a huge segment of the movie is like set like in his home village or whatever, and they do all the things like with the dudes with the tattoos.
They do the Hawkeye.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
That's cool.
I have to tell you that Hobbs and Shaw is very entertaining and probably not worth your time.
You don't need to tell me that.
That's surprising for a Fast and Furious franchise movie.
They're so fantastic.
Again, it's going to make billions.
Sure.
It's just they've mint money with that franchise. No, but I think it's totally legitimate to bring up any Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson because he's got the Polynesian heritage. So you can draw a direct line from. You could draw a stick map. From New Zealand all the way to Hawaii, right? So you could pull in Hawaiians into this conversation. You could pull in anything.
And for those of you who don't know what a stick map is, you should look it up.
It's really cool. It's how the original Polynesians would find their way through the ocean, and what the sticks represent the wind coming off the islands and how it affects the ocean. It's fascinating. It's really cool. They have a ton of them at the Bishop Museum on Waikiki.
I bet there's a really good YouTuber out there who would explain them to me in an entertaining way.
There probably is. And I would also point out here, and now we'll tie it into Big Trouble in Little China, which is based in San Francisco, but has many Asian folks. Here's the thing. If you go to Pig and the Lady in Chinatown in Waikiki, and you go to the downstairs bathroom, it's actually a shrine to Egg Chen and Big Trouble in Little China. Boom. And they have fantastic.
Thank you for dropping the mic. I think so. My homework right now is to go watch a video where a giant bird tries to breed with Attenborough.
Not Attenborough.
To try to find an educational film to learn about stick maps.
Yes, and go to Waikiki, go to Pig and the Lady in Chinatown, and eat great food.
I mean, I'm all in going to Waikiki, but I don't know that Geeks in Space has an expense account.
Well,
not yet.
when we get 12 viewers, though, bam!
Now that our chalk money ran out,
I think I tied this to my AdWords account or something. I wonder if I can see if we've made any money. I can't imagine we have.
We had a total of 100 hours watched last month. Pretty impressive. That said, we're about at our 20-minute mark. Would you gentlemen like to bid your farewells while I try to find the slide thingy?
Goodbye.
Good talking to you guys.
Wait, let's talk about the performance of the channel from a financial perspective.
Oh yeah. You mean very negative?
Okay, so we've had this is grim. So we've had 204 views, I think. Yeah, and then no, this is something else. This is so confusing. God, does anyone work at Google that can? I'll give a report next time.
That anybody works at Google anymore.
You'll make some phone calls.
That's right. Because what we really need is to be trending, man, with all of our sweet insights into the Fast and the Furious franchise and the various relationships of Katie Sackhoff.
Surely there's some algorithm which makes Geeks in Space the most relevant content to almost everything.
Well, I mean, I think the New Zealand thing is where we go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything's related to New Zealand. So as long as we put our anchor there.
It really is. All right, folks. I'm putting the slide up and saying goodbye.
All right. Talk to you guys on Tuesday.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
This is episode 369 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Maldo. Do the things that you're supposed to do at the end of a video. Goodbye.